Good morning, class. Yeah, welcome to today's lesson. Today's lesson is going to be a very short lesson. We want to talk about market structure and its analysis. Today, we are going to talk about oligopoly. We've talked about the perfect competition. We've talked about monopoly. Today, we want to talk about oligopoly. So, these are lesson outcomes. By the end of the lesson, students will be able to define oligopoly, identify the characteristics of oligopoly, explore lessons to the manager. So we'll look at the meaning of oligopoly, look at the characteristics, and then the lesson to a manager. Now, have you heard the word oligopoly before? It's a type of market structure, as we've talked about perfect competition and monopoly. Oligopoly in an industry, oligopoly is an industry dominated by a few firms, as few as two, so two or more firms with barriers to entry that make it difficult for their for new firms to enter the industry. So that is oligopoly. Oligopoly is an industry dominated by a few firms, as few as two, with barriers to entry that makes it difficult for new firms to enter the industry. We have a market structure we've not talked about. It's called duopoly. Duopoly is specifically only two firms in the industry. So I would say duopoly is a subset of oligopoly. Oligopoly is two or more. Okay. So oligopoly is a market structure consisting of a few firms, relatively large firms. Most of the times, these firms are large firms. They are very large firms, and each has substantial share of the market, and all recognize their interdependence. So there can be two big companies producing cars. Maybe one company is called Nissan, and another company is called, say, Ford. And we have only two cars in the country or in the world. So that is oligopoly. Or maybe there are three, maybe there are four. So far as there are few, and they are large firms producing a particular product, which is a bit differentiated, but the products serve almost the same purpose. That is oligopoly. So one thing to note about oligopoly is that the products may be identical or differentiated. Identical means they may be almost the same. Differentiated means they may be quite different. Yeah, they being quite different doesn't mean that they are totally two different products. No, it means their branding probably is a bit different, but the products serve almost the same purpose. So most of the products are substitutes. Right? Okay. So a typical example of oligopoly is the automotive industry, where we have companies such as Toyota, General Motors, Ford, Honda. Yes, they all produce cars. What they produce, yes, is cars, but then they produce different types of cars. Right. The next thing we want to look at is characteristics or assumptions of oligopoly. There are a number of characteristics we want to just look at. They have many buyers. Let's consider the automotive industry as we mentioned. There are so many people who buy cars, so they have many buyers. But then the sellers are very few, so they have small number of sellers. Small number of sellers. The product is most at times homogeneous. Homogeneous means the product is almost the same. What they produce is almost the same. They all produce cars, so it's almost the same. That is what is the usual, but it's not necessarily. So yes, they can produce the same cars, but it could be it can have some kind of differentiation. You can see a car that even the shape of the car. So when you look at Ford and when you look at Nissan, you see some bit of difference. So they are homogeneous products usually, but not necessarily. And also we assume for an oligopoly there is complete information. Complete information means that the buyers, they have complete information as to which car is fake and which car is of the most quality. So but that is also usually, but not necessarily. Yes, so that is also an assumption that is very important when it comes to oligopoly. And the next is there is restricted entry into the market. It is very difficult for another firm to start producing cars, another firm to just come up and start producing cars. There's a lot of restrictions. The restriction can be the restriction, um, you having sole access to raw materials, as we learned about the monopolist. Yeah, so there is some kind of restricted entry. That is also usual, but not necessarily. And they spend a lot of money in advertisement so that there is some kind of competition. There are two or more firms. If you advertise very well, maybe buyers will buy more of your product. So for oligopoly, there is a lot of advertisement cost included. The seventh is there is price leadership. So the producers have more control over their prices because they in their own spectrum they operate like monopolists. Only that they have some few competitors. So for them to fix the price, it also has a lot of dependence on the quality of the product. If your product is not of high quality, buyers will not really buy your product. So they try to produce very high quality products and then fix a price they deem fit. And the last is price rigidity. Normally for oligopoly, the prices do not change. They are quite consistent over time, because if you change your price so quick, maybe you increase your price so high, um, buyers will tend to buy the products of the other firm in the industry. So there is price rigidity. We'll pause here and we'll complete this lesson in the next slide. Thank you.